All right, so today's review is over 1.3 and 1.4. So the 1.3 is the one with variables on both sides. So again, you can move the variable, the goal is x equal at the end, so you need to move the variables to one side, numbers to the other. You can move the variables to the right or the left. It doesn't matter. I've said it before, but I like moving the smaller of the variables. So 2 is smaller than 4. Okay, remember that when I'm moving the number and the variable that I add or subtract. The only time I multiply or divide is at the very end of the problem. So bring down the -6 and the -10. Be careful of this like negative sign right here. Sometimes people just put 6 and the negative gets lost. So be careful of that. Then I'll add 10. And I get 4 equals 2x. And now I'm going to divide at the very end because I only want to move the 2 that's next to the x. I want to leave the x alone. Okay, so that's a straightforward problem. So I'm sure you're gonna have some that have some parentheses. So always, if you have parentheses, always get rid of them first by distributing. Okay. So then I'm going to move this x by itself because that's smaller than 4 of them. And so remember, that's just like a 1. So when you subtract it, it's like saying 4 minus 1. And then plus 12. And divide by 3. Okay. All right. What we also had in this section was, and I'm going to kind of do it quick. So if you want to watch the whole video, I'll tell you the day in a second. But if let's say you did whatever work you had to do, and you got this, and you started to solve the problem, and you said, okay, I'm going to do minus 3x. And the 3x's, they both equal 0. And you get 4 equals -5. Well, that can't happen. So it's no solution. Okay. Also remember, if you you do whatever work you have, and at the end you get 10 equals 10. Okay, so you might add this to both sides or do whatever work you have to do, and you get 10 equals 10, or 2 equals 2, or -5 equals -5. The answer is infinitely many solutions. So you might have a couple of those. It should be more where you solve and get an answer, but there will be a couple that you get no solution or infinitely many. So just the thing to remember is, if the x's go away and the numbers are not equal, no solution. If the x's go away and the numbers are equal, then it's infinitely many solutions. All right. 1.4 is absolute value. So remember we have steps. I'm going to put AV for absolute value. Get the absolute value by itself. Is it no solution? You want to check for that. And how do you know if it's no solution? You'll have equal a negative number. So the absolute value, let me scoot that over. It'll have whatever's in the absolute value. Doesn't even matter what's here, but it'll be equal a negative number. If that happens, it's no solution. If that doesn't happen, then we are going to write two equations. One positive and one negative. And then we're just going to solve them. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples. So get the absolute value by itself. I don't like the plus 3 over there, so I need to minus 3. I'm never going to do anything to the absolute value, or what's on the inside. Okay, is it no solution? No, because that's positive 5. So then I'm going to write two equations. One with a positive 5 and one with a negative 5. And then solve each one. Most of the time, it's not all the time, but a very high percentage of the time, you're going to have a positive and a negative answer. Doesn't have to be that way, but a lot of the time it will. Okay. So if I put a number in the front, that means multiply. So to move it over, I divide. Again, do not do anything to the inside of the absolute value. Okay. Is it no solution? No, because the 6 is positive. Write two equations. And then solve each one. Okay. It's possible to have, like, the first one has a plus 3 on the outside, and then the second one has a 2 in the front. It's possible to have both. So do the adding, and just like in regular equations, we do adding and subtracting to both sides before we do multiplying and dividing to both sides. Okay. So a trick question, if you will, it's not really a trick, but it's one that trips people up, is like this. Or there's a few different ways like to do it, but So if you don't follow the steps, people look at this equal negative number and they go, oh, it's no solution because it's negative. But that's not correct. You need to get the absolute value by itself first. Negative 2 plus 5 is positive 3. This is where you check for no solution. And since it's positive, I can keep going. Okay. So remember, you have to get the absolute value by itself first. So on the other side, you could have like that, and everything looks good. And then you do minus 6 to get the absolute value by itself. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. And that's where it messes up. So this one is no solution. Okay, so get the absolute value by itself first, no matter what. Then you can do no solution. Okay, so if you need more help with the absolute value part of it, you can go watch the video from September 4th and September 8th. We do some absolute value stuff on both of those. If you need some more help with the first part where there's variables on both sides, you can watch the videos from September 2nd. Okay, so let me write that down just in case. So for 1.3, September 2nd, and for 1.4, September 4th and 8th. Okay, so if you need more help with what we just talked about, you can watch both of those videos. There's actually 2 videos on absolute value. The one on September 4th is probably the better one. There's some other stuff on the 8th that we may not look at. So, all right. Check the worksheets. You're not going to do all the problems that are on the worksheets, so check on Canvas, like right below where the worksheets are. It'll tell you what problems to do for which worksheets. Okay? All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.